Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome back to MX Simulator, where today we're going to be playing and previewing the 2023 Oakland Supercross, which in my opinion is round 6 of the 2023 Monster Energy AMA Supercross series. But they're still calling it round 2. It was round 2 in MX Simulator when we played it, even though it was postponed a little while ago. And so round 2, round 6, whatever you want to call it, it's Oakland. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's inside of Oakland, or Ring Central Coliseum, I think is what it's called now, but the Oakland Coliseum. And yeah, so we've already seen this track played in sim. This is, I mean, a month ago at this point. We did it back on January, what would that have been? That would have been January 10th or so. So it's been literally over a month since we actually raced this track in sim. Now we're going to see it raced in real life on the weekend, which is interesting because now, like, given that it's been so much time since, like, I've seen this track and how it raced and you know what it was built like in sim, I'm really actually curious to see it raced in real life, because there's not much many times that we have this like long beforehand expectation of what a track is going to look like, because normally the sim track comes out and then we race it you know, in real life on the weekend and stuff like that. But the sim track being out as long as it's been kind of leads us to be able to really know a little bit more of what we can expect. So just talking about the track right from the get-go, you know, a couple of the key things to point out are obviously you have this long rhythm section down out of the second turn of the track, and probably the biggest thing about it really is, you know, what you can do in terms of tripling in versus doubling in it. But obviously the tricky part of it is that they're including this like double apex 45-degree right-hand kink turns with jumps in the middle of it through it into a Supercross triple. So it's basically just like one long section all the way from the second corner all the way till, I guess, what you'd call the fourth corner on the track, with a long rhythm lane and a Supercross triple in it. It's obviously the most unique aspect of the track, but beyond that, I don't think it's any less kind of intense, because you have the Supercross triple, a little double, and then you have a whoop section, a Dragon's Back, and another whoop section, which if you guys know anything about what pro riders think about Dragon's Backs, having them in the middle of two whoop sections, it's just going to be arm pump city, I feel like, for a couple people to try to manage all of that and do them back to back to back. But it'll be interesting to see if that creates more passing opportunities to have those three in a row. They're not really, only the Dragon's Back is followed by a direct 180 berm. Both whoop sections have a little more than 90-degree corners after them, if it's at least going to be built that exact way. And one thing I should caveat with this is that, you know, there's at least the chance that some of this stuff gets built a little bit differently than what we see here, just because they obviously are still working with a little bit of the wet dirt. Like, they never took the dirt out of the stadium that was going to be used, I believe, for the Oakland Supercross back in early January. So they're still using that same dirt. I don't think it's going to be like completely awesome dirt now that it's been completely soaked for basically a month. It hasn't rained in Oakland, you know, like consistently for a very long time, but, you know, the reason the race was postponed was because of the rain, because of all the flooding up there and it being more of a safety concern. So they pushed it back until now, and I think we're still going to have some pretty soft dirt is what I would say. I wouldn't say it's damp, but it's soft because of how much water it took in and how long it probably stayed soaked like that. So it'll be interesting, because I feel like the rhythm lanes maybe won't shape up the way that I'm hitting them with a lot of these triple ins, you know, mixed in quads and stuff like that. But maybe it does. Like, Oakland always is like a little, I guess, hit and miss. Like, we've had races in Oakland in the past where it was just like rut city and looked really treacherous and hard to deal with. And then we've had Oakland races where it was arguably very hard packed and similar to some of like the Southern California rounds. I wouldn't say that it's as similar as like an Anaheim, which gets, you know, super blue grooved and stuff like that if it's not raining. But I think we, you know, have seen Oaklands in the past that have at least been very dry. The dirt holds up well. So I don't think we see that this weekend, just based on the fact that we're probably dealing with some previously wet dirt. But I do think that there's a potential that you have like a mixed bag. You have some sections where the big lines might be possible, and some sections where it's a little bit more double, triple, and, you know, whatever they can actually get speed to do. It'll be so interesting to see how they build the track. I will be there at Oakland this weekend, so on Friday, if you guys want to check out either my Instagram at Kellen Brauer or our SYS Instagram, which is at Start Your Systems, you can check that out, and I'm sure I'll probably post up either some stories or maybe a few photos on a post or something like that, just to kind of show off what the track is is looking like, because we at least on press day get to go out there and check the track out. So long as it's not going to rain. It may rain on Friday when I fly up to Oakland, but if it doesn't rain, then we should be good to go to at least see some of the track. So be sure to check that out. In terms of the way that this track is going to race, I mean, like I said, I think a lot of the passing will probably come between the whoops / Dragon's Back sections. You're going to have, obviously, these long rhythm lanes that will be, in some shape or form, dart-fished into a pretty standard line, no matter what that is, whether it's tripling in, doubling in, whatever it is. I think most of the guys will eventually be doing a very standard line of some kind. What that is, I don't really know, but it usually is the case that happens. So, but I think, you know, the whoops will be interesting. I think you might have like one set that's a little bit gnarlier than the others, and that creates a little bit more passing opportunities. Obviously, the Dragon's Back will, like, I could see it being a situation where guys will swing wide after this whoop section, for example, to get a run for the Dragon's Back, and people can come down the inside and block pass. And then maybe you can block pass people after the Dragon's Back, like going up the inside here, so that they don't get a good run into the whoops. And then, of course, after the whoops as well, maybe you come down the inside here, block them again, you roll into this rhythm section. Like, there's plenty of little areas right there, I feel like, to present yourself with a good opportunity to make a pass or two. So at least from that sense, it looks like it might be a decent track for good racing of some kind, but it also might funnel into one line if it ends up being pretty rutted and chopped up and everything like that. So I think in terms of like favorites coming into the weekend, I would say that with the momentum, the way that it's going, Cooper Webb is looking pretty strong, and I'm kind of against the idea that last week means anything at this point, just because Webb wasn't necessarily great in Houston. But I do think because this track is going to be a little bit softer, and Webb had even told me after Houston that he was not really prepared for Houston to be as hard as it was and as fast as it was. If we're going to have another soft track in Oakland, I think it could suit Webb very well personally. But I think we're going to see like an Eli Tomac rebound this weekend. I think Chase Sexton's going to be fired up. And what I really think is that this could be a little bit of like a zenith type of race. Like, it was a race that wasn't originally going to be on the calendar, so it's kind of throwing a little bit of a spice into the plan. And by not on the calendar, I mean like we were already supposed to be done with it. We were already supposed to be 6 rounds deep into this championship. We were supposed to be at an off weekend this weekend, so these guys, you know, not necessarily were ready to be going back to a baseball stadium on the West Coast at this point in time in the season, which means that most people had already been back in Florida for the last couple weeks training, and maybe their regiment of training on the West Coast isn't as dialed in anymore, and their setups could be a little bit off. And why that could be a good thing is because everybody might be a little bit off their A game. And if that happens, you have, you know, Jason Anderson's look strong. Like I said, Sexton, Webb, Tomac all have something to prove now as the 3 different winners this year. But maybe, just maybe, we have a really, really good mixed bag of a race, because the championship is 4 points between the top 3 in the 450 class, and I don't necessarily think that it stays like that for long. So hopefully we can kind of soak it in and have a really gnarly good race this weekend. Like, what I personally hope for is for Webb to win again this weekend, and Chase to get second, and Eli to get third, so that there's 1 point between all 3 of them going into the Triple Crown at Arlington, because then just all chaos breaks loose. Like, the Triple Crowns are always so unique, and obviously Anaheim, we already had one, was pretty chaotic. So that would be my hope. I don't necessarily think that that's exactly what's going to happen or anything like that, but if it does, Chase and Eli would be tied at the top of the championship, with Webb 1 point back, if that's how it were to go this weekend. I don't think it goes that way, but, you know, you never know. Sometimes these races give us the opportunity to surprise a little bit. So I think going into this weekend, I would, like I said, I don't really want to lay too much emphasis onto Tampa the weekend before, but no, you know what? 2 whoop sections. I think I'm going to say, I'm going to go off the wall. I think Jason Anderson wins this weekend. I think Jason Anderson goes into desperation mode a little bit to get a great start and finally win a main event. He won in Oakland last year, so felt good in this exact stadium on the same bike that he's on a year ago. And he's to the point now where he has to win a race, or he's not going to be in this championship fight whatsoever. He's already kind of not in it, being 20 points down, but he's got to do something to get clawed back a little bit closer. So I'll pick Anderson to win this weekend in Oakland. And then 250 class-wise, of course, we're coming back to the West Coast. Can you really bet against Jet Lawrence? I know he didn't win the Triple Crown. That went to Levi Kitchen, but gosh, Jet has just been so good at the real races, not the Triple Crowns thus far. And this is another one of those. It's another 15-minute plus 1 lap main event. It's been so good at those. I just don't see how you could pick against Jet right now, but I don't know, maybe to be a little bit off the wall. Let's just say Jason and Hampshire get it done. So Anderson and Hampshire will be my picks for the weekend, and if they both win, I look like a genius, and if they both lose, then I look like a fool, I guess. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking for Oakland coming into this weekend. Interesting track, last baseball stadium of the year. We're going nothing but football stadiums after this, except for obviously the speedways. So the last time of a track that really should probably provide at least over 1 minute lap time aside from the speedways. And yeah, more 90s, more open corners, more unique rhythm sections. All of it's going to be pretty interesting to watch. I'm very excited to go this weekend and check it out myself. And hopefully if you're around in the Oakland area and you're going as well, maybe I run into you. Usually around hanging out in the pits in the afternoon for that Fly Racing radio show at the Fly Racing setup at about 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys are around there, be sure to swing by and say hello. I said hello to a few people last year at the same place. So be good to catch up with any of you guys if you're around. But that's it for me. Previewing the 2023 Oakland Supercross Round 6 of the 2023 Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship. All right, guys. Thanks for watching another video here on Start Your Systems, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.